Up, Vladimir? Good morning.
Hey Bruno, good evening.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, it's all right.
All
Pretty
right.
okay, yeah.
All right.
How are you?
I'm all right. I'm all right. How's your week and weekend?
Weekend was terrible, but now I'm fine.
What happened in the weekend? Where was it terrible?
Well, I mentioned I was playing with video games. It was Friday, but I also played on Saturday out of
And
early.
Sunday as well?
No, Sunday, no, Sunday. It was only more in the morning on Saturday, and I finally decided to give up. It was just so unexpected. I mean, I woke up on Friday and didn't want to do any exercises, just went for water. There's like 1 kilometer from my house, there's a source. So
Okay.
I bought water and was kind of lazy, didn't want to do anything. But then suddenly this desire just, took over my mind and I like a robot again. I studied this concept of determinism and it seems that, you know, even though I consciously understand that it's not what I want to do, I still there is some stronger impulses and I can't actually control them. So I went and I was playing for 10 hours, even more, 12 hours just uninterrupted.
Straight without stopping.
I made a pause for like 20 minutes to eat something.
Yeah. No, I mean those games are very addicting. Strategy games are very addicting. Were you playing online with other people?
Like 16 games. No, I played this game was I basically win 70-80% of the time. And so exciting to beat some not noob, but I play with. It took me just 10 hours, and I got to the like 50 best players. I mean,
Wow.
there are 1,000 people who play the game, and I made like 13-3, and I got like 50 something, like 50 something, 50
Wow.
56 position in the ladder.
Wow. And that's difficult because these are people that play all the time, I bet.
Well, not all the time, but quite often. Yeah.
Yeah, quite often. So, wow, that's you're a strategy master.
Yeah, but when I played this game, like the last time when I had a like long, like when I couldn't control it, I played for I guess for 2 months. It was summer of 2016, yeah, like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And, I got in the like I was at the top. So there was a few moments when I kept the top position. Like I was the first among this rank. I'm on this
Oh,
hall.
you're number one.
Yeah, like I could be
Uh,
there, but not too long. I mean, it's it's all dynamic since there were people who were playing like 10 games a day, 15 games a day, and I was also playing. I played probably like 200 games in few weeks to get this level, basically beating most of the people. Yeah,
yeah.
but I don't want to talk about games. It's the thing.
What do you think it is about strategy games that is so compelling and addicting?
Well, I would say that there's a certain emotional component when you're, you know, lose, win, especially when you're like when you know that when there's some probability and you wanna win, but you can't win all the time, and you have to put lots of effort in it, and especially when you do it well.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, because
again,
you're playing at a very high level, obviously.
this control mechanisms. You have an army, and it feels as if you're kind of in a real war, but as if you're a general sitting and controlling all these units. And, you
Right.
know,
It's not something, yeah, it's exciting and it's not something that you can do in real life usually.
yeah, sure. But you have feelings of kind of being some kind of general or you know commander, whatever.
Yeah, that's a very appealing feeling, isn't it? Managing troops and it's kind of a virtual sensation of power that you have.
Yeah, sure. It's I guess it's in our instincts, like in our biology, since we evolved as a species who always fought with each other. Now, if you when we don't have, it's the same as you proposed to discuss about football. So it's substitution of war, but video game. It's like no, for me it's more real than football since you have real fighters. No, even though it's not real in terms you don't have any pain, any experience, but still you have army that units are killed, you kill other units, and yeah, and
Yeah,
there,
I mean it's a simulation of war, right? It's a simulation of war, but it's actually war instead of just a different, different game. Like I mean, chess is essentially Warcraft, but
it's
but
small. I mean,
but
it's
but abstract.
it
But
chess is not dynamic. You play it. I like to play chess, but
no, I know, but it's when they didn't have the technology to create actual armies and that actually moved like a video game, like they created like little pieces of wood and well,
mhm.
this is your knight, this is your tower, your king, and I mean it was sort of like Warcraft with the technology that they could muster at that time.
Yeah, I'm waiting for virtual reality when you might put on some glasses or whatever and just go in real war. You know, I'd like to play such kind of games. Like when they're going to be available, I probably will try.
Well, have you ever played for example, well, I guess it's like Warcraft, but I like Total War, for example. Have you played those games?
No, no.
Well, you wouldn't get very enthralled with those games. You would like them because they're essentially like Warcraft, but they're more realistic because they're set in historical periods. So for example, you have a Total War that is set during the Roman period,
Oh
and
yeah, I played. No, maybe you have heard Kazakhs. No, the game Kazakhs.
because I don't know.
Kazakhs. Like probably it has a different name in English. Well, then it's also historical periods, and you may choose any country like Russia, Austria, Germany, France, England, and you build again. Like it's not in a historical period, but you build again armies and they fight each other, and there's like a kind of more uh, it's like units are the same units which were available to these countries at certain period of time.
Yeah,
So like you start kind of 17th century, then you have to make upgrade and get to 18th century. And when you get upgrade, you have more, advanced units, and also there are big armies. Like
yeah, that's essentially, yeah, it's kind of the same thing. But yeah, like you're saying, when they have virtual reality, you're gonna be able to feel like you're in the battlefield with your troops.
yeah,
And
especially if you can forget yourself, like forget who you are in real life, just
yeah, it
get
will be
get
very
pressure
realistic.
out for a couple of days or weeks and to be in real battle or
Yeah,
control battle or as this short cartoon which I sent you, like Rick and Morty, when you go and live a life of a guy for
oh
50,
yeah,
sixty.
that's a funny story, that's a funny like little cartoon. Yeah, no, I enjoy that. Yeah, it's like Inception, right? It's like that movie when you go into a whole life, and it's in your life it's just 5 minutes, but in the game it's a whole life. And yeah, it would
Yeah,
be insane to be able to live different multiple lives, even if they're not real, which is
yeah,
essentially what video games and movies are, right?
yeah. Basically, just it's escape from the real life.
Yeah,
Go and everything's so bright and so exciting. When you get back in this dull reality, it seems like everything's so you know.
reality is yeah, it's not as exciting as video games or movies. Reality is just
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
probably why they're so addictive. It's kind of gives you a sense which you're, it's like a drug essentially. So it creates certain neurotransmitters, neural paths in your brain, which make you experience certain emotions which you can't experience in real life, unless you have something like war or something,
Yeah.
something serious, something exceptional. But
Something
in a,
very interesting in your life. Yeah.
yeah, in a daily life, you usually don't have anything like that.
No, not really. Um,
But before I got to this, before I started playing, I had 3 days of such a powerful. Like I was basically studying, doing all my work, like studying math, grammars, watching John Searle's lectures. I got to 16th lecture, and I made the outlines for each lecture. So I was listening carefully. I read this book, The Theory of Speech Acts. I almost finished the book, and yeah, like 3 days. In Wednesday, I felt as if I was like on a top. I don't know. It was kind of, wow, that's so great. It's like I'm getting more and more engaged in this activity and studying. And I
yeah.
was thinking, yeah, what can this do? Like, and I knew already at that time that it can be always like this. So at some moment it will change and I'll get bored again, or maybe something else happen. And like a few days and I play video games. That's strange. But anyway, yeah, it's
Well,
one way.
you probably just needed a break, right?
Yeah, sure. Because I engage in studies, so like I become like a robot. You basically wake up. There's 15 things you have to do. You do these 15 things. You fall asleep. Wake up next day. Again, 15 things you have to do. You do them. Fall asleep, and that for a week, for 2 weeks. And what's interesting is that it's not something I have to do because of somebody else forces me to do that. So it's not a job or something like forced upon me, but it's like I decide for myself. Basically, I create some programs. Like, okay, this week, John Searle, 1 hour, 2 hours watching lectures. Grammar, like 1 hour. Math, 1 hour. Like speaking exercise, 1 hour. Some writing some stuff, 1 hour. And then you create more and more and more. And finally, there's like entire day. You have to do certain duties. And yeah, it's like accomplishing all these duties. It doesn't feel always well, but when you accomplish some exercise, it always feels like it's always rewarding. It's like when you do some physical exercises. So in the process, it may be hard, but when you finish, you feel like satisfied since you accomplished the exercises. And also writing the same thing. When I write, I not always have this feeling that you sit down writing and you think, oh, like what should I write about or how to Sometimes it may be boring, but at the end, it always feels as if you've done something important, and your brain rewards you with certain chemicals, with certain emotions. And then like 1, 2, 3 days of such activities makes me feel like as if I were on top. But then a few days more, you're basically exhausted, like your how how would you put it? It's like
Yeah, you're exhausted and you need a break. You can't continue to do things at that same rhythm. Yeah, I understand.
kind of overburden.
So do you want to read a little passage of our book?
Yeah. I actually was studying today before we started the conversation. I had read again Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy about Sextus Empiricus, and
Okay.
I started watching some videos of guys mentioned in this article, like scholars of skepticism, modern scholars, and watched one lecture on tranquility. Now, tranquility is basically the same word for ataraxia, like in English. In
Oh,
English,
so ataraxia is tranquility.
it's kind of replacement.
Okay.
And the guy basically argued that the notion of happiness, which we have now, it's mostly it's mostly about emotions. So when you're happy, you have pleasure, like you have all sorts of emotions, positive emotions. But for Asian people, or at least as this guy tells us, and he was a scholar like of ancient, Aristotle, Epicurus, Pyrrhus, Sextus Empiricus, Stoics, whatever. He says, no, for them, eudaimonia, an ancient and Greek word for happiness, it meant something different. It meant that this tranquility, when you are not when your emotions basically, like when you control your emotions, and Aristotle even said something like a child can be happy since like for a child to be happy he must grow up and become virtuous, like virtuous person, to be able to control his emotions and not be controlled by your emotions. I don't have a better word, but
Yeah.
this is the idea. So it's like happiness is not emotions, it's not feelings, it's basically a state of mind when you are able to control your emotions. And when you are not affected by emotions. So whatever is going on, like they had a famous example with pig on the ship, which is there's a storm, there's a ship, and everybody is running around and crying, and there's a pig who eats calmly from its plate. And Pyrrho said, like, you in life you have to be like this pig. So whatever is going on, you just you're not affected by external circumstances, and it's the concept of happiness, and it's something that you may attain. So it's not something that's given to you from birth. It's not that you have this idea like tranquility, for example. You do certain actions, and by doing these actions, you attain this state of mind, and then it's forever with you. So you can nothing can basically get it from you. And there are two schools, like skepticism and like this guy again, like I just telling you what he was talking about. So there's Epicure, how to say?
Yeah, no, I know Epicurus, right? The happiness guy.
Yeah, but
Pleasure.
How to say Epicurists, like guys who.
Epicurus. Yeah, I think so.
Epicurus and the skeptics. So the difference is the skeptics say to attain this tranquility, you have to suspend your judgment. So you have to doubt everything and not be attached to any kind of dogma. And Epicurus say no, it's like through knowledge. So you have to get certain knowledge, and by like attaining certain knowledge, and you get there.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, I was thinking about hedonism actually. Not Epicureanism. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Epicurus, you can only attain the state of ataraxia, tranquility, through knowledge, but with the skeptics is when you're able to suspend your judgment.
Yeah, skeptics, right? I guess they're like first version, like pure skeptics. Like Pyrrho was the guy who first made this idea famous at the beginning of fourth BC, first century BC. But the idea was that it's kind of ignorant. It's like living in a blissful ignorance. So you have certain skill to like what was epocha, which we're actually going to read today. It's like 14 paragraph. So when you oppose one judgment to another, when you oppose one argument to another argument, when you find equally valid argument which might oppose the other one. But it's not chasing knowledge. So in Epicurus, for example, to be happy, you learn more and more and more. The more you learn, the more you understand what's going on around you, the more happy you are. And at some moment you achieve tranquility, which is like everything. And in skeptics, no, you can't know anything. And the way to achieve this tranquility is to stop worry about knowledge and start seeing reality as it is, and like appearances. This contradiction, this dilemma between appearances and the real world. I guess it plays one of the most important roles here. Appearance and like something beyond appearance, like the real world. So appearance is something that our mind makes out of like the universe. There's the universe itself, which is people argue that it's unavailable. John Searle, for example, argues that it's the biggest mistake in history of philosophy, that we rejected this naive realism, which says that we have an access to objective world, that what we perceive is like real world. And Western philosophy from Descartes, they basically say that it's all about rejecting this naive realism, saying that there's Kant, Hume, like there's things in themselves and something that you make of these things, or your mind makes of these things. And the difference is like you can't reach the things in themselves; they are unattainable, beyond comprehension.
Well, let me share my screen and we can read a passage.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay. And yeah, the problem is that this next passage that we were about to read, I mean, it's huge, but we can read part of it.
Yeah, let's like read a few pages.
No, yeah, it's the 10 modes.
Yeah, it's 14. And actually, this article which I mentioned about Sextus Empiricus in Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, they mostly argue about this 13th paragraph, like the previous one, where
previous one.
Yeah, it's like the
general modes of epoche.
Yeah, how like those skeptics have beliefs and how they achieve, how they live their lives. Like, do they really believe in something, or they don't believe in anything? And what Sextus Empiricus means by this beliefs in ataraxia.
Okay. So yeah, I don't have like a whole lot of time today. So do you want to just maybe discuss number 13 and leave 14 for the next time, since you've been reading about 13?
Well, we may get once again 13, but we already got to it. Okay.
So you want to read 14, part of 14?
Let's read just the introduction to the 14.
Okay.
A few paragraphs.
Okay.
We'll talk about them.
The older skeptics, according to the usual account, have handed down some modes, 10 in number, through which it seems that suspension of judgment is brought about, and which they also synonymously call arguments or points. And these modes are as follows. First, there is one based on the variety of animals. Second, the one based on the differences among human beings. Third, that based on the differences in constitution of the sense organs. Fourth, on the circumstances. Fifth, on positions, distances, and locations. Sixth, on admixtures. Seventh, on the quantity and constitution of external objects. Eighth, on relativity. Ninth, on the frequency or infrequency of occurrence. And 10th, on the ways of life, customs and laws, mythic beliefs, and dogmatic opinions. We adopt this order without prejudice. Okay. Superordinate to these are three modes. One based on what does the judging, another based on what is judged, and a third based on both. The first four of the 10 modes are subordinate to the mode based on what does the judging, for that is either an animal or a human being or a sense and is in some circumstance. The 7th and 10th modes are referred to the mode based on what is judged. And the 5th, 6th, 8th, and 9th are referred to the one that is based on both. These 3 in turn are referred to the relativity mode, making it the most generic, with the 3 as specific and the 10 as subordinate. We offer the foregoing comments as plausible concerning their number, concerning their content. We say the following. Okay. And this is dense. The first argument, as we were saying, is that according to which the same phantasiae do not arise from the same things because of the difference of animals. This we conclude from the difference in the ways animals are produced and from the variety in the structures of their bodies. As concerns the ways they are produced, some animals are produced without sexual union and others from intercourse. And of these produced without sexual union, some come from fire, like the tiny creatures that appear in ovens, some from stagnant water, like mosquitoes, some from wine that is turning, like gnats, some from earth, like some from slime, like frogs, some from mud, like worms, some from donkeys, like dung beetles, some from greens, like caterpillars, some from fruit, like the gall insects in the wild fig tree, some from rotting animals, like bees from bowls and wasps from horses. Of animals produced by intercourse, some, the majority, come from homogeneous parents, and others, like mules, from heterogeneous parents. Again, of animals in general, some are born vivipariously, like human beings, other ovipariously, like birds, and still others just as lumps of flesh, like bears. So one would expect these dissimilarities and differences of origin to result in great contrariety of pate, contributing incompatibility, disharmony, and conflict. However, it is the differences among the most important parts of the body, especially those naturally fitted for judging and sensing, that can produce the greatest conflict of the phantasiae. Thus, things that appear white to us are said to be yellow by people with jaundice, and reddish by those with bloodshot eyes. Since then, some animals have yellow eyes, others bloodshot eyes, others white, and still others some color. It is likely, I think, that their perception of colors will be different. Further, if we look long and fixedly at the sun and then stoop down to a book, the letters seem to us golden and moving around. Since then, some animals have by nature a luster of the eyes and emit a fine and quick stream of light. So as even to be able to see at night, we should expect the external objects would not affect them, and thus in the same way. And illusionists, by treating lamp wicks with copper rust and cuttle fish ink, make the bystanders appear now copper colored and now black, just by a slight sprinkling of the mixture. It is surely all the more reasonable that, since differing humors are mixed in the eyes of animals, these animals will have differing phantasiae of the external objects. Also, when we press the eyeball on one side, the forms, shapes, and size of the things seen appear elongated and narrowed. So it is likely that those animals that have elongated and slanting pupils, goats, cats, and such, will in their fantasia experience the external objects as different from and unlike what animals with round pupils take them to be. Mirrors too, because of their different constructions, sometimes show the external object as very short when the mirror is concave, and sometimes is long and narrow when it is convex. And some show the head of the reflected person at the bottom and the feet at the top. Since then, some of the organs of sight are bulging with convexity and others are quite concave, while still others are in fiat plane. It is likely that because of this, the phantasiae too are various, and that dogs, fish, lions, human beings, and locusts do not see the same things as equal size or similar in shape, but in each case, what is seen depends on the imprint created by the eye that receives the appearance.
I guess we may stop here.
Yeah, we can stop here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
discuss it. So the first argument or mod, it's about differences in animals and human beings, I guess, or it was the second. But anyway, so the idea again, we perceive things differently since we have different organization.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's what he's saying, right? That we all perceive things differently. It seems that's what they're saying.
An arguments which may arise from this perception is that when somebody says that this is how things are, so you may argue that they are because you perceive them this way, but somebody else may perceive them in a different way. And for animals, like cats, for example, for them, some objects which appear to us round, maybe not round, maybe some kind of different shape.
Well, that's an interesting perspective. Yeah, I mean, I never thought of that way, but yeah, it would be true. I mean, if you have different kinds of eyes, yeah, objects will look different. And yeah, for someone who is colorblind, yeah, they will see things differently. So what things are depend on, in some sense, depend on who's observing those things. Yeah.
And it's just about the physical world, but imagine how many differences they may be about some social world when we simply create things by our agreements and consensuses, saying that this is what it is because we decided it's going to be that way. But again, different groups, different motivations, different purposes may create completely different perceptions of the world.
Yeah. And it makes sense that people with different experiences will perceive things in a very different manner, so that, and yeah, that's an interesting analogy with the physical world where animals will literally see things different from what we see, even though they're looking at the same thing. So yeah, I mean, the way we perceive things it seems to be very, very different, and that's an important distinction. Yeah.
I'd like to, bring this topic of education. For example, some people may say that education is very valuable and you have to study a lot of, you have to get a good education, go to university, to read great books, to watch some lectures. And some people may say, no, it's completely useless. Like, what you have to do is just make money and be happy,
Who says that? You say that, or well, who says that? I didn't get that.
Oh, there are some arguments about education.
Okay.
Like, some people may believe that education is valuable.
Mm-hmm.
They pursue education. They study, get like 1, 2, 3, 5 different educations in different fields. And other people say, no, it's not valuable. It's something which may be completely useless. So you may find your way in life and just enjoy life instead of studying and doing all sorts of work.
Right.
Necessary,
And they'll have certainly a different perspective. Yeah. And what are you implying, that they see education in a different way because of their own experience?
Well, I don't think it's the experience. I think it basically formed on certain beliefs and culture you raised in your environment, probably. But essentially, I guess there's for a step there must be no beliefs. Like in some cases, education may be valuable. In some cases, it may be not, depending on like who you are, what are you doing. But just one example,
Yeah, no, that's an interesting example. Yeah, you can apply that to a lot of different things, and yeah, I mean, it is an interesting idea that even though you're looking at the same thing, people might be seeing different things, even like conceptually ideas. They might be seeing different ideas. Like, for example, I've been republishing some of our old videos actually on not just on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, I want to ask you, why didn't you put my outlines there? I watched you published some of them, but without my outlines.
But no, actually, I do want to put your outlines there. I just didn't get around to it. I need to find them. I need to look. I need to try to find the videos and find the outlines.
You know, they're like in comments. So you republished on the universal basic income and other.
Yeah, I can do. I can do. That's a good thing that I can do it as soon as we finish this video. I can do that so I don't forget.
Okay, so but what was like you were saying something, I interrupted you.
No, I mean that was a good interruption though, because that reminded me that I can do that
You
now.
published these videos, old videos again.
No,
right?
it's not so much that I published them again. Well, I guess
Republished.
I guess technically yes, but what the thing is that those videos had been sort of like automatically published because we
Yeah.
were streaming them live.
Online streams.
The problem with that method, I realized, is that nobody was watching the videos at all.
Mhm.
So we're doing the videos, but it was basically, yeah, we're doing them for ourselves, you know, but it's not actually people, other people are not watching the videos. So because of how YouTube works and the algorithm, and because the channel is so small, so I really need to, you know, when we do a video, I need to actually publish it as an upload, and
Mhm.
with like the right thumbnail and the title and the description, or else, I mean, nobody watches. And also I've been well, not advertising, that's not the right word, but I guess I've been like uh sort of like promoting the video on Facebook, if you will, like sharing the, yeah, that's more like sharing the video on Facebook with philosophy groups. So some people are actually watching the videos now and leaving some most of the comments are kind of nasty, to be honest.
Yeah, I heard you say like they call you a communist and
Yeah. So, but anyways, at least we know that and we're getting new subscribers, so at least I know that people at least have seen the videos
Mhm.
now.
Yeah, but it's interesting also like to argue when there are some comments actually.
What?
To have comments and argue with people like to
Yeah, but the problem is that the people, well, some people that leave comments are actually interested in the ideas, but then you have a lot of people on YouTube just want to insult you.
no, I like this. I
You
get
like that?
like,
I don't like being insulting all that
I,
much.
I usually fight with such people. I mean, but not in a kind of clever way. So not just creating some verbal fight, but trying to make them, feel shame or something like that. No, kind of not like well, I don't even know how to describe it clearly, but I definitely used to do that when I was writing in Russian. So I published lots of things, and there were some moments when people attacked me, like writing something like "you're just a fool, you don't know anything,"
Right.
and I usually made some. I spent an hour, a few hours thinking how to respond, like finding a good comment, and then I responded in such ways that people. Well, they didn't. I don't know whether or not they became ashamed, but they usually stopped. Stopped attacking and. So
Okay. So you enjoy that part of it.
yeah, I kind of got used to dealing with trolls, and I actually uh, had like, some kind of amusement when people send me some nasty comments. So I know how to handle them, and I don't take them personally. That's what's most important here. So I don't like if there's an insult, if somebody calls me a fool or something else. I don't take it personally. I try to kind of dissociate myself from the insult and trying to analyze it in a purely logical manner.
Okay. Yeah. No, I mean, yeah. So as we get more and more views, yeah, that will certainly be important to be able to deal with, essentially trolls. But yeah, so that's I've been doing that, and people, when you pose a question, it's interesting because you pose a question, for example, universal basic income, right? And I'll see it in regardless of whether you agree with it or not, I guess. But just the initial concepts. You look at a concept and you see certain things, right, in those concepts, and then I realized that some people, depending on perhaps like what we're saying, depending on their complexion, depending on their previous experiences, their makeup, they will look at those concepts and see completely different things, have completely different ideas. And yes, I guess the concept is always the same, but the way we are perceiving the concept, uh, regardless of what the concept actually is, it can be universal basic income or capitalism or communism or the death penalty or artificial intelligence or whatever it is. It doesn't really matter, anything in the world, but people will perceive it in a different way initially, depending on their ideas, their ideology, their experiences in the past, where they live, how old they are, they will see it, but they're not going to see immediately. At least they're not going to see the same thing you're seeing, because they have different characteristics.
That's why, like, I think that there's no objective way, like no objective world, since it's always dependent on your subjectivity, how you perceive things, how you perceive some, not just some concepts, but also the world itself. There's always an interpreter who assign the value or meaning to what he or she perceives.
Yeah, I mean, I would mostly agree with you. Yeah. Maybe there is an objective thing, an orange, maybe in itself, the orange never really changes, so maybe it's objective in that sense, but we don't perceive it in an objective manner, right? I don't think it's the case, but imagine you and me, we have different kinds of eyes, right? And you see the orange with one color and I see the orange with other color, and another different color. We're not really seeing the same color, actually.
Yes.
Perhaps not even the same shape, perhaps not even like they were saying, like the pupils and everything. So if we have slightly different eyes, perhaps we're not seeing the same thing. Actually, you're seeing a different thing than I am seeing, but the thing itself, in a sense, is the same, right?
Well, no, that's exactly like when question arises, like it's not the same. It's always dependent on the observer. If there's no observer, nobody can perceive the thing. Nobody can say what it is. So you have to have a subject or somebody who may perceive, and all subjects may perceive it differently, or slightly differently. It may be actually not so important, but again, the ideas which are formed about the object, they always like in the subject. They might be quite similar, but essentially the point is that you can say that the thing is the same independently from perception. Since if you remove perception, if you remove an observer, there's no thing. You can't say anything about this thing. Well, you may say, but it's a belief. Since you don't know whether.
Well, but the problem with that, imagine it's not an orange we're talking about. Imagine it's Vladimir we're talking about, and I perceive Vladimir in a certain way, and perhaps a different person, let's say Frank, a fictional person called Frank, perceives Vladimir in a different way.
I see, and I would say that there's no one Vladimir. So there's infinite Vladimirs depending on how many people. And I've noticed it in conversations. For example, I have conversations with people, and I see that with some people I talk about, like not about, but my verbal behavior is determined by the person whom I talk to. So, for example, when I talk to you, you're a native speaker, and I feel much more, not confident, but I use like my language in a way which I will not use it when I talk to somebody who knows English very badly. Like there are some people whom I talk to, and I have to use certain words which I'm always checking my whenever I want to say one word, I was thinking like, does this person know this word, or does maybe he doesn't know, and I have to explain the meaning of word before saying it. And there's it makes me like think differently depending on to whom I communicate to.
Right. So in that sense, Vladimir changes according to the person he's speaking with.
Oh yeah, it's like everybody changes. Like,
yes, I agree. I agree that everybody changes, but I don't know if we fundamentally change. Like, yes, we change the way we speak and we talk and we interact, but
on a physical level, you mean?
We're still the same in the sense, it's not like biologically, at least, we haven't really changed depending on who we're talking to. We're still the same. But I understand your point though. I think it's almost like a different way of putting it.
No, again, I do lots of self-talks when I like record videos and talk to myself when there's nobody. And it's definitely uh, like I'm a different person when I talk to myself or to the computer or to the camera, and when I talk to a certain person. And well, it doesn't feel that I know that it's like the same person, right? So I'm the same person, but still, like my behavior, my perception of the world, of of situation, is different depending on like environment and people whom I interact with. And
Yeah, no,
I
that's
and I can and the most important is I can control it. So I can like I would say like when I talk to myself, I basically like feel as if I were a genius, right? Whatever I say is smart, I can explain it.
because
And
there's no one to counter you.
yeah, and when I talk to people, it's always different. See, and I if I could control it, if I was the same person, I
Yeah,
would basically come to the point when I will say, okay, now I'm going to feel every time as if I were talking to myself. But it doesn't work that way. So when you
doesn't
talk to
work
a
down.
person, it's kind of different. That's strange.
It is, regardless of there is an objective self or an objective object in the first place. I do think that it's important to have that notion. It's a very interesting notion and a very valid notion that people, regardless if there is an objective thing or not there, it's very interesting to notice that everybody that is looking at one thing is looking at that one thing differently, you know. And that's a very interesting thing to process in your mind, because it's when you're looking at something, it can be a person, it can be an animal, it can be an object, it can be a color, it can be an idea. Everybody's actually not seeing the same thing at the same time, right? It's people are seeing a slightly different thing, or sometimes a completely different thing in the case of ideas, especially.
Yeah, even when you clarify certain concept or an idea, you still use language, and your language, your perception of certain words. Again, maybe like it's the same sentence, but you perceive the words in the sentence in a different way than I perceive it. So we have the same syntax, but a different semantics, since you attach different like you in your like the word whatever concept. The word concept may be attached to particular experience, and some people may hate this concept. They think of like concepts, ideas, it's all kind of philosophical stuff. I don't like it. And other people will say, well, some concepts, ideas is great, like great invention of human beings.
Yeah.
I actually prepared the entire list, but I think we don't have a lot of time. This some controversies like education and illiteracy, like beauty and ugliness. One of the other example, like how we perceive beauty. Like some people say that beauty. Again, what is beauty? Before say it, like how we perceive it, you have to define it in some way. But if you're like,
Yeah, it certainly seems that people see beauty differently. We can see that when people find a certain person beautiful or not.
yeah, but I'm also interested in evaluation. So how can you evaluate beauty? So for some people, especially for many women, it's like beauty is one of the most important things. And for other people, it's actually not so important. You see, you may say, like, doesn't matter whether you are ugly or beautiful. What's important to be rich or to be smart or to be, healthy. And I would say, no, I'm rather be, miserable, poor, but I'm going to be beautiful instead of being rich and healthy and ugly.
Right. That's well, yeah, that's yeah. Yeah, no, because the value of beauty is subjective. The value of beauty is subjective. And it's true. Some people might prefer to be rich rather than beautiful, and some people might prefer to be beautiful rather than rich. It's subjective. It depends on their values and their preferences.
Yeah, and also like in skepticism, it's interesting to see, like when you start thinking in these terms, that there's everything that's kind of relevant and your beliefs and ideas may be relevant, like to track the history of certain beliefs which you have. Kind of, you may do an exercise, just sit down every evening, find one or two beliefs and analyze them like later. Like why do you have these beliefs? Why these things are important for you? How you came to believe in these things in the first place? Like what affected your.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's a pretty high level of introspection, I guess. Like
It's an interesting exercise. I do something like that, in this course of lectures, which I give now. It's English from scratch, and I have some, exercises. So I ask people to write every day one sentence about their personal experience, like what they did, for example, last month, the months before, and each day to get back to find some experience in the previous month, and then to get some facts about personal history, about the history of the world. Just you're kind of building your personal history of the world. So you find one event which happened like in 1990s, 1980s, 1970s, 1950s, 1960s. So you get back as far as you can. Then you go in the opposite direction and find more facts. Basically, you kind of extend your history by adding more and more facts and trying to connect them with each other.
it's interesting, man. Hey, Vladimir, I gotta cut this short because I gotta, I have my stuff that I need to do. But but I'll talk to you soon. It was a good conversation. I appreciate it.
I'll try this Friday to be not morality of war. Is this what we're going to talk this week? Morality of war.
The morality of war, yeah. The morality of war, yeah.
I'll try to not miss out this time.
Yeah, you're interested in that topic.
Oh yeah, I studied war in March, I guess, half a year ago. But it was an idea we should discuss at our speaking club, and I read Sun Tzu, Clausewitz, some other philosophers and people who wrote on war.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to share some questions with me, I mean, you can. I'm trying to, like, for every meeting, I'm trying to like write specific questions and I try to, like, especially now that I'm reviewing, like, because I've been rewatching some of these conversations, now that I've been like reposting them. Yeah, I'm trying to make them even better. So yeah, I think having like a structure and specific questions, I think that helps a lot.
I had when we discussed war, I had some quotes. So basically, I built a conversation on quotes from Sun Tzu. So I may send you these quotes. They may be
quotes are cool too. Yeah.
Yeah, and this video. Have you watched this video which I sent you?
Which one?
By this guy, Russian guy, Yuri Bezmenov. I sent you like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah, maybe not. I'll check it again, see if I can find it. Yeah. Is that one about war?
It's about psychological war.
Psychological war. Oh, yeah, I mean, that's interesting as well.
Yeah, the guy basically describes how in Soviet Union they use kind of propaganda to convince the world that Soviet Union was the benevolent and good state.
Yeah.
But like what this guy did, he was a kind of minister of propaganda, not a minister, but he was responsible for brainwashing some foreign intellectuals who came to Soviet Union. He basically was, working with them. And it's an interesting talk. I guess it's better to watch than me talking about it.
Yeah, no, I'll check it out. I'll check it out, and maybe we can share that so people can check it out as well as one of the.
It's kind of a controversial thing since on YouTube there's some. If you read comments, people are just get crazy. sense. It's kind of conspiracy theories use such materials to, you know, to
There's a conspiracy theory is a big thing on YouTube.
yeah, but you know, I was like I'm trying to stay objective whenever I watch something.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to, you know, oh, this is true, and I must share this information with everybody else and make everybody do it. So I'm trying to kind of analyze it, and this kind of stuff which I sent, it's so most likely, like I wouldn't share something like that on public, since people may, you know, immediately put you in a category like that you try to persuade people to believe in certain things.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I get it. I get what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah. I get what you're saying. All right. But I'll check it. I'll check it out nevertheless, just to see what you're saying.
Okay,
Anyways, thanks for the conversation, Vladimir, and I'll talk to you soon, man.
thank you too. So
All
see
right.
you. See you.
Yeah. Likewise.
Okay.
Stop. Try not to play Warcraft as much.
Yeah, sure. Well, I had some very
But look, if you need to play Warcraft, you know, and it makes you happy, just play Warcraft. It's not a big deal.
I had a
Okay.
very harsh physical punishment, like my conscience created